Now, local news from AFN Vicenza.
Good evening. Caserma Ederle has got used to the wet snow and rain of the last few days, but Army Sergeant Jerry Malik reports that Vicenza's first real snowfall came as a surprise on the last day of 1996.
Snowfall, as majestic as it may seem, may have taken Caserma Ederle by surprise on the last day of '96. Well over 1 inch of snow had already stuck to the ground by mid-morning and early afternoon. Around post, motorists drove with caution as they got used to the white stuff being in the streets, as it turned into the greasy, slushy stuff. Despite the heavy snowfall, it was pretty much business as usual at the AFIS shopping mall. And for the most part, community members viewed the surprising weather as a welcome sight.
Kids get a chance to play in the snow. It's a little bit late for Christmas, but hey, we got it for New Year's. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I love the snow. I mean, I'm from up north in New York, so we don't get a whole lot of snow here, and I came from Fort Bragg, so they didn't get a whole lot of snow there, so the more we get, the happier I am.
Well, it's a nice thought to have it here in Italy. From what I understand, I'm just coming on board here, but I understand that last year they had some snow, and then again, this is a year, so I guess it's kind of unique for Italy to see snow here.
It's time for it. It's God's will replenishing the earth just like water with rain and everything else. So it happens, you live with it and deal with it, so it's okay.
I like it very much.
Why? What do you do in the snow?
Play with the snowballs and build my snowman.
And of course, some had mixed feelings about the whole thing.
It's okay. The kids like it, but I'm not too thrilled to be driving in it.
Well, I think it's great, but it just came a week too late. That's all. We should have had it for Christmas.
All in all, the community received 7.5 inches of snowfall to start off the new year, according to the Dalmaline Weather Service in Vicenza. The Weather Service also said that this snowfall was the first of the season that actually stayed on the ground. And while no one knows how long it'll actually stay, it may be remembered in the minds of most as the first winter snow of the last day of the year. In Vicenza, Army Sergeant Jerry Malik, AFN News.
Still to come on AFN Vicenza's Evening News, our year in review continues with a look back at June 1996. Stay with us. And taking a look at the weather forecast for the Veneto region and Vicenza. Tonight, look for cloudy skies with rain and light fog with lows dipping into the low 40s. This weekend, cloudy skies continue, again with rain, again with light fog, with highs reaching the mid-40s. 1996 was quite a year. AFN Vicenza's year in review continues with June of 1996. AFN's Larry Kreider has more.
Monday, June 3rd, we reported on 2 local traffic accidents. Family member Donna Redvay died, and her husband, Staff Sergeant Gordon Redvay, assigned to the 319th Field Artillery, received severe injuries in a single-car accident on Via Camisano. In another single-car accident, an Echo Company soldier received severe injuries on the Venice to Milan Autostrada when his vehicle struck a guardrail. Headquarters support company CTAF held their first change of command since being activated in March of '95 as Captain Robert Ruffalo relinquished command to Captain Mark Murray. Vicenza's American Red Cross chapter held a volunteer recognition luncheon at the Golden Lion. Echo Company, first of the 508th, held a combination family day high-altitude Huey helicopter jump. CTAF's Carabinieri Corps celebrated 182 years of dedicated service at the Carabinieri headquarters in downtown Vicenza. A group of future DoD executives visited Caserma Ederle and got a taste of the airborne jump tower. The dental clinic announced the need to hire some dental assistants. The entomology folks started spraying for ants and other insects in Villaggio. The optometry clinic said Operation Provide Sight would make eyeglasses available for those who couldn't afford them. Vicenza High School's 39th annual commencement ceremony took place on Sunday, June 9th for 27 high school graduates at Teatro Olimpico. A small unit shower system was introduced for soldiers serving in the field. In the unit and rec league volleyball championships, Delta Battery 319th Field Artillery won over Alpha Company, first of the 508th. The U.S. Army parachute team, the Golden Knights, were asked to visit Vicenza to evaluate CTAP's para-demo team, the Blue Falcons, on their techniques and safety procedures. First through third graders got an early summer vacation during field day on the North 40. In Longare, goats were given the job of keeping the grass cut. Tuesday, June 11th, the 22nd Area Support Group held a town hall meeting. Alpha Company, first of the 508th, conducted hand-to-hand combat training. The APHIS Cashier's Cage won the On Target Award for May. Thursday, June 13th, CTAF bid farewell to Command Chaplain Colonel Daniel Donahue, who retired after 28 years of service. Outdoor Rec reported that the Villaggio pool wouldn't be opening on schedule because of structural problems to the pool's inner liner. At mid-month, Jeopardy host Alec Trebek came to town on a contestant search. Friday, June 14th, students celebrated the last day of school. A team from the Army Research Institute in Alexandria, Virginia came to town to talk to soldiers about the challenge and stress of living overseas. The elementary school held an award ceremony. Verona Elementary School 6th grader Alexis Sampson won an essay contest that included a trip to the White House. Junior high school students were offered a summer recreation sports camp. The safety office said you could now bypass the motorcycle safety course if you had a stateside motorcycle license. A staff exercise in preparation for Peaceful Eagle 96 got underway. The 509th Signal Battalion held a change of command as Lieutenant Colonel Charles Angle relinquished command to Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Rose. Friday, June 21st, we reported 5 U.S. citizens were injured, one critically, when the driver of their pickup truck lost control, struck a guardrail, and entered a river. Vicenza's Enlisted Spouses Club learned how to cook 2 Italian dishes. Friday, June 21st, DEH planted 4 olive trees across the street from the headquarters building as part of the relocation of Soldiers Park. The Radcliffe Choral Society, visiting from the States, performed in the Post Chapel. The last week of the month, we reported on preparations at Aviano for a CTAF Lion Brigade mass tactical exercise. Hellos to loved ones started from Peaceful Eagle 96. A new composite healthcare system was being installed at the health clinic. The Cub Scouts held a Bella Italia summer camp. The CTAF Soldier and Non-Commissioned Officer of the Quarter ceremony was held. The days of driving to Livorno to receive or ship POVs ended as the first load of cars from Livorno arrived here. The Lion Brigade's Forward Support Company held a change of command as Captain Craig Linderman relinquished command to Captain Paul Nelson. The health clinic reduced their hours because of reduced patient use. And an American wedding at the end of June combined an Italian church with U.S. military and American customs. Those were the events we covered in June of this year. Monday night, we'll look back at July 96. I'm Larry Kreider, AFN News.
Welcome to the Army, Mrs. Eldred.
And that's all the news we have for this night. Thanks for watching. The regional weather forecast is up next. I'm Air Force Sergeant Gary Piccirillo. From all of us at AFN, have yourself a great night.
One inexpensive device that can be helpful in Italy is a Disco Orario, or parking disc. When parking in a Disco Orario zone, simply turn the disc to show the time you arrived and be sure to return before the posted time limit expires.
Now, local news from AFN Vicenza.
Good evening. Vicenza's first real snowfall may have came as a bit of a surprise to most of us on the last day of 96. In the wake of 7.5 inches of snowfall, those residing in the Villaggio took to their yards for some fun. In this report, specialist Rachel Bromley gives us a glimpse of some snow-crafted artwork.
Villaggio's population swelled as a community of snowmen sprung up to join the ranks as new residents. Silently, they looked on as their makers moved on to more snow fun. This veritable ice fortress guards the Alarcon household. Andrew Foster lives across the street from them, and his fort, Snowbinder he calls it, is in the beginning stages of development.
You get lots and lots of snow, and you can put it into a bucket, and you turn it over, and it comes out real big and round, and you stack it up as like they did, and you build and build and build. You can put different things on them. and you can make a snow fort.
The purpose of a snow fort isn't to look pretty. Once Fort Snowbinder is erected, the Alarcons will have a war on their hands.
The battle would be like I could go against them and they could go against me, and there's a snow fort over there and I could go against them, and we just have a regular battle, and whichever snow fort gets knocked down, they'll probably be out.
So what before might have been simply a snowball fight has upscaled to snow warfare, with a population of snowmen possibly the first victims. Specialist Rachel Bromley, AFN News.
The relocation of Davis Hall is now complete. The familiar Building 108, directly across from the Post Library, shut down last month to make way for future renovations. Anyone who would have used Army Community Services at Davis Hall can now do so at what used to be the old Four Seasons building. All offices are fully operational and have been so for over a week now. Facilities such as Army Community Service, the ID card section, transportation, driver's testing, vehicle registration, and others are ready to serve soldiers and their family members. According to the Chief of Installation Management, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Gary Medeiros, the Davis Hall renovations are expected to take at least 1 year. Still to come, our Year in Review continues for the month of July. Stay with us. AFN Vicenza's Year in Review continues now, this time with a look at events which shaped the month of July 1996. AFN's Larry Kreider has more.
Monday, July 1st, we reported on the CTAF Quarterly Civilian Awards Luncheon. A CTAF team went through training for the Nijmegen March. The North 40 Jump Tower got a new coat of paint. A U.S. and Italian military dinner at the Golden Lion fostered friendship. July 2nd, the 584th Military Intelligence Detachment held a change of command as Chief Warrant Officer Ray Skinner relinquished command to Captain H. Sloan Oliver. The MPs closed the clinic gate until further notice because of a manpower shortage. The APHIS cash cage increased the limit on personal checks from $150 to $300. The second week in July 96, we looked back at Vicenza's 4th of July celebration that included the CTAF Parademo team, rides on the Jump Tower, other rides, food, and entertainment. In the 4th of July softball tournament, Ramstein beat Heidelberg 27-26. The Mako Sharks held their annual summer swim camp, and the 4th of July events included a fireworks display. On July 9th, we reported on a motorcycle car accident involving an American soldier. U.S. Army NCO Sergeant Sterling Alexander was reported in stable condition from an accident that killed an Italian. We looked back at the 4th of July Wild West Rodeo. Beverly Hills 90210 star Mark Espinoza came to conduct an acting seminar. The Inspector General of the U.S. Army, Lieutenant General Jared Bates, made his first visit to CTAF and the 22nd ASG. It was announced that commercial airline tickets purchased from sources other than those contracted by the government would not be reimbursed. Youth Services held a baseball banquet for minor and Bantam League teams at the Golden Lion. At mid-July, we reported on the training area being established for Peaceful Eagle 96 at Biza, Albania. We started hellos for loved ones from Albania. A Villaggio swimming pool opened after a 2-week delay. Wednesday, July 16th, we reported that an animal protection group saw local soldier Avian Narn take his pet lizard for a walk downtown. The group identified the lizard as being on the endangered species list. It was reported in the local Italian newspaper that the soldier could have been fined anywhere from $14,000 to $150,000 for illegally importing a lizard into Italy. A mass casualty exercise at Peaceful Eagle 96 in Albania gave soldiers and commanders real-world training. The CTAF 24th Quartermaster riggers were sling-loading equipment in Albania. Kids ages 12 through 19 started a second year of midnight basketball. 9 nations involved in Peaceful Eagle worked on improved communications. The Information Ticketing and Registration Office announced they would move from Davis Hall to the Arts and Crafts Center. The drunk driving simulator came to Vicenza. Later in July, we reported on the dental clinic change of command as Colonel James Cartwright relinquished command to Lieutenant Colonel Dennis Jennings. The MPs warned against abandoned vehicles. The staff judge advocate announced 2 CTAF soldiers, Specialist Richard Williams of the 13th MP Company and Specialist Barry Gordon of Detachment D, 510th Personnel Services Battalion, were convicted and sentenced in 2 separate court-martials. A monument symbolizing continued growth of peace among nations was unveiled at the closing ceremonies of Peaceful Eagle 96 in Albania. Soldiers Theater held an acting summer camp. The local band Backwit Blues placed second at the USERA Battle of the Bands. The summer hire work program was in full swing. The All Nations Dance Company performed at Soldiers Theater. And at the end of July, there was an activation ceremony for the Lion Brigade Combat Support Battalion. Those were the events we covered in July of last year. Tomorrow night, we'll look back at August '96. I'm Larry Kreider, AFN News.
And that's AFN Vicenza's Evening News for tonight. Thanks for watching. The European weather forecast is up next. Tonight, we close with more scenes of winter fun in the Villaggio. I'm Army Sergeant Jerry Malik. Good night.
This is the AFN weather forecast with temperatures and conditions for areas throughout Europe.
High pressure will dominate the majority of Central European weather with partly to mostly cloudy skies across the UK, Germany, and France. A frontal system is moving across Scandinavia, producing cloudy skies with snow across Norway and Sweden. The Iberian Peninsula, mostly cloudy skies with rain and scattered thunderstorms as a frontal system comes in off the Atlantic. In the Mediterranean, an area of low pressure and its associated frontal system producing cloudy skies with rain and thunderstorms across Italy and Greece, rain and snow mixed falling across Bosnia, freezing rain in Switzerland and Austria. Turkey will have high pressure and fair skies. Temperatures remaining.
Now, local news from AFN Vicenza.
Good evening. Members of the 22nd Area Support Group gathered at the Post Theater yesterday to recognize many of their own at an awards ceremony. Specialist Rachel Bromley reports a number of soldiers and civilians received due recognition for their efforts in 1996.
40 personnel received honors from the 22nd ASG Commander, Colonel Scott Conrad. Awards ranged from certificates, appreciation letters, Army Commendation Medals, along with one Meritorious Service Medal. The 22nd ASG Commander also performed 3 promotions as well. During the ceremony, Colonel Conrad reminded the 22nd ASG members of the importance of their mission. The honorees then formed up to receive congratulations for their efforts. In Vicenza, I'm Specialist Rachel Bromley, AFN News.
Still to come on AFN Vicenza's Evening News, our year in review continues with the month of August. Stay with us. Taking a look at the weather forecast for the Veneto region and Vicenza, look for cloudy skies tonight with rain and light fog with a low around the low 40s. Tomorrow expect more of the wet stuff with mostly cloudy skies with rain with a high around the high 40s. In Unit Rec League basketball action last night, the gym was packed as HHC 22nd ASG took on the Rainmen. HHC went down under the Rainmen's victory 42-29. The Rainmen went on to win the second game, this time against Gospel Service. The score was 64-49. HHC, CSB, and FSC, CSD played the final game for the evening. HHC dominated 54-40. AFN Vicenza's Year in Review continues now with a look at the month of August 1996. AFN's Larry Kreider reports.
Thursday, August 1st, we reported on a retirement ceremony at the Golden Lion as AFN Commander Major Jeff Matty retired after 20 years. Bravo Company, first of the 508, held squad competition on the obstacle course. Travelers were told to be careful because Italian vacation season was starting. A team from the Night Vision Lab at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, came to find solutions to CTAF night vision problems. Monday, August 5th, we reported 2 CTAF soldiers were recovering from injuries received in a fight that occurred at the Sherwood Radio Festival for Italian-Cuban Solidarity in Padova. 60 CTAF soldiers spent a week in England earning their British jump wings. The first of the 508th Red Devils held a family day. The second week in August, Delta Battery 319th Field Artillery Regiment held a change of command as Captain Bob Pierce relinquished command to Captain Scott Custer. Army Community Services started a Super Saver Coupon Challenge. In softball, Vicenza beat Würzburg 14-10, becoming the Region 3 champions. The women finished second behind Bamberg. The Golden Lion closed for cleaning. Wednesday, August 7th, CTAF welcomed a new Chief of Staff, Colonel Dennis Ty. At the USERA Track and Field Championships in Bamberg, Germany, the Vicenza-Naples combined team finished third out of 16. Sergeant John Gaden placed first in the 200-meter dash and the long jump. Private First Class Sarah Collins placed second in the shot put and third in the discus. Captain Ronaldo Diaz placed third in the 5-kilometer run and second in the 10K. And Kara Hussein placed third in the 10K and fourth in the 5K. The Post Exchange geared up for back to school with store displays. Thursday, August 8th, we reported that CTAF Master Parachutist Sergeant First Class Charles Turner of the Lion Brigade's Headquarters and Headquarters Company Combat Support Battalion was injured when his reserve parachute opened unexpectedly and pulled him outside of a C-130 Hercules aircraft in mid-flight. The dental clinic gave tips to parents on keeping their children's teeth clean during Dental Day. Natalie Warner and her 6-year-old son won the August Yard of the Month. A covering of stones was put around the newly planted olive trees on the parade field. Friday, August 8th, Delta Battery 319th Airborne Field Artillery Regiment soldiers got on buses for deployment to Monte Romano, north of Rome, for live fire training. We also reported on the first day's activities at Monte Romano. A leak in an underground water pipe forced a DEH to close off a street near the CTAF headquarters. Monday, August 12th, we reported a 22nd ASG soldier riding his bicycle was injured after being struck by a car operated by another soldier at the intersection past the customs gate that connects with Olson Avenue. In sports, the Lady Warriors won the CTAF Women's Softball Championship over No Fear, 26-5. The Boss Lounge and Soldiers Theater temporarily closed for renovation. The APHIS bookstore held a $1 sidewalk sale. An unusual August weather pattern gave us cooler temperatures and a downpour of 1 to 2 inches. The first Rollerblade Expo was held at the Villaggio Youth Center. The soldiers of Delta Battery 319th Airborne Field Artillery Regiment were undergoing live fire training at Monte Romano, north of Rome. CTAF's Lion Brigade set up on the North 40 for a computer-assisted exercise. The new APHIS fall and winter mail-order catalogs arrived. Expert infantry badge qualifications started. Villaggio residents prepared to start Neighborhood Watch. Alpha Company, first of the 508th, held a change of command as Captain Bill Burleson relinquished command to Captain Walter Spangler. Monday, August 19th, we looked back at some Big Ten basketball players going against the CTAF team. Tuesday, August 20th, we reported that CTAF's Chief of Engineering and Housing, Richard Houlet, had died of cardiac arrest. A Girl Scout day camp focused on girls who lived in historical times. In an Assumption ceremony, the American Forces Network South welcomed aboard new commander, Major David McWilliams. Military car sales had new Ford Escorts on display. CPO changed their name to the Personnel Advisory Center, and the standard Form 171 job application was replaced with the electronic resume worksheet. Indoor climbing was coming to Outdoor Rec. Monday, August 26th, was the first day of school. Bravo Company, first of the 508th, held an award ceremony where the 1st Legion's Best Rifle Squad Trophy was presented to Staff Sergeant Victor Farmer's squad. An end-of-summer community picnic was sponsored by Villaggio Youth Services. A water main break near the front gate caused traffic congestion as DEH fixed the leak. Kids in the summer reading group received end-of-program certificates. The dental clinic said appointments would be plentiful during the upcoming Grafenwehr deployment. Summer hire workers were honored during a ceremony at the Golden Lion. CTAF recognized Women's Equality Day with a reception at the Golden Lion. And the Expert Infantry Badge testing wrapped up with a 12-mile road march and an award ceremony. Those were the events we covered last August. Tomorrow night we'll look back at September '96. I'm Larry Kreider, AFN News.
And that's AFN Vicenza's evening news for tonight. Thanks for watching. The European weather forecast is up next. I'm Army Sergeant Jerry Malik. Good night.
Temperatures and conditions.
Now, local news from AFN Vicenza.
Good evening. The National Geographic Society's Geography B is underway right now at Dodge schools worldwide. And of course, the Vicenza schools are no exception. Earlier today, 9 elementary students competed during their school-wide Geography B in front of their classmates at the Post Theater. The 9th school-wide event pitted 9 students against each other who vied for a spot in the Dodds Europe-wide competition. The contestants not only had to know state and country capitals, but also geography features, history, culture, and current events. While the audience got to play along, they in no way, shape, or form could help the contestants. The judges gave the students 15 seconds to answer questions, and if they missed 2 in a row, they were out. High school social studies teacher and competition host Robert Klebb said the Geography Bee gave every student a chance to increase their interest in world events.
And we're doing it in an academic setting in a way in which we hope that there's some spin-off and that they can just basically become not only more knowledgeable about the world around them, but also more interested in it.
Grabbing 3rd place was 6th grader Aaron Lewis, while 4th grader Thomas Fortune took 2nd. 6th grader Erica Rogers came in 1st with a chance to compete Europe-wide and possibly worldwide in Washington, D.C. this spring. In other local news, Lion Brigade staff telephone numbers will change effective January 13th. The new prefix for Lion Brigade staff telephone numbers will be 635. Extension suffixes will change as well, but are not currently available. To call Lion Brigade from off-post, the next prefix is 21. The entire Lion Brigade phone list is in distribution and email. Call the post operator for specific telephone numbers. For more information, contact Captain Haggard at 634-7137. The Martin Luther King Dinner will be held January 17th at Caserma Ederle. The president of the Vicenza African American Association, Mr. Marvin Shelton, says that the turnout is expected to be big, and if anyone in the community wants to attend, they need to act now.
There are very few tickets left. We'll have no ticket sales at the door. If they don't have tickets by the end of this week, I doubt very seriously if there'll be any tickets available.
Mr. Shelton says that in addition to a 5-member gospel choir group from Aviano, the dinner will also showcase a guest speaker and a special presentation of an award-winning short story that was recited for President and Mrs. Clinton.
Maria Sampson and her daughter will be reciting her village that she had won the contest to go visit President Clinton. There'll be a number of other entertainment skits put on for the benefit of the attendees to the dinner. We know that everyone would appreciate it. We'll try to have it compact and have it moving along quite well, and we are looking for a tremendous turnout.
Ticket sales for the dinner end this week. For more information, dial extension 634-7828. Still to come on AFN Vicenza's Evening News, our year in review continues, this time with a look at the month of September. Stay with us. Taking a look at the weather forecast for the Veneto region and Vicenza area, tonight expect fair skies with a low dipping down to the low 30s. Tomorrow calls for cloudy skies with rain with a high around the mid-50s. AFN Vicenza's Year in Review continues now. Tonight, we highlight the events which shaped the month of September 1996. AFN's Larry Kreider has more.
Wednesday, September 4th, Headquarters and Headquarters Company, first of the 508th, held a change of command as Captain Michael Dugan relinquished command to Captain Bill Burleson. The high school held an open house. The 13th Military Police Company held a change of command as Captain Isaac Johnson relinquished command to Captain Brian Stevens. Barracks 5B construction was underway. A new computer club was starting up. Vicenza was set for the religious festival of Monteberico. Monday, September 9th, the Lion Brigade started their deployment exercise Vigilant Lion at the Combat Maneuver Training Center in Grafenwehr, Germany. Prior to the deployment, the first of the 508th held an awards ceremony on Hoekstra Field. The Army Soldier Show kicked off its European tour in Vicenza. The CTAF Soldier and NCO of the Quarter ceremony and Sergeant Morales induction ceremony were held in the Post Theater. The Sermon in the Sun took place on Hoekstra Field. CTAF Command Sergeant Major Riley Miller was picked to become the next USARA Command Sergeant Major. Opera singer Tracy Torgerson sang at Soldiers Theater. A patron saint festival took place at the Mercato Nuovo Square in downtown Vicenza. Thursday, September 12th, the announcement came that CTAF Commander Major General Jack Nix would relinquish command to Major General Ed Smith on September 24th. It was reported that Villaggio residents were not putting their recyclable trash in the proper containers. Americans went to see Marostica's human chess game. Friday, September 13th, CTAF Public Affairs advised everyone to stay clear of Northern Italy weekend political demonstrations. Cub Scout Pack 295 had their first meeting of the year. The hometown news team came from Kelly Air Force Base, Texas to collect holiday greetings. In Grafenwehr, more than 600 CTAF paratroopers performed a heavy drop. 28th Transportation held a trucker rodeo. CTAF Public Affairs reported 2 paratroopers, Sergeant Alan Simmons and Specialist Frederick High, received small shrapnel wounds when training on a hand grenade range in Graf. The U.S. Army NCO of the Year was named at the Sergeant Morales Club Ball at Schwetzingen, Germany. It was CTAF's Sergeant Jeremy Black of 502nd Aviation at Aviano. Monday, September 23rd, we spoke to CTAF Commander Major General Jack Nix about his 2 years in command. Troops on deployment at Graf went through open-range qualifications. The Vicenza Main Exchange opened up its expanded Toyland department. Tuesday, September 24th, the Southern European Task Force welcomed aboard a new commander as Major General Jack Nix relinquished command to Major General Ed Smith. CTAF's 13th Military Police on deployment in Graf qualified on the M249 machine gun. The command sergeants majors for each area support group in Europe came to Vicenza for a roundtable discussion. The commissary closed for an extra day to install new shelving. The last day of September, we reported that dining hall prices would go up effective October 1st. We also looked back at the annual Vicenza Officers, Spouses, and Civilians Club Bazaar. And we headed to Graf for a look at Delta Battery Howitzer PT. Those were the events we covered last September. Tomorrow night, we'll look back at October 96. I'm Larry Kreider, AFN News.
And that's AFN Vicenza's Evening News for tonight. Thanks for watching. The European weather forecast is up next. I'm Army Sergeant Jerry Malik. Good night.
Near the Austrian border, set in the peaceful Dolomiti Mountains. More than 3,000 feet above towns and restaurants with a remarkable view. Ski where alpine champions converge to keep this legendary place alive. Visit Trento, a place where magical moments are born.
Now, local news from AFN Vicenza.
Good evening. Being able to retire is a dream come true for most military members. But there's a big difference in retiring because you want to as compared to retiring because you have to. Air Force Sergeant Gary Picarola reports that when voluntary retirement requests are submitted and reach a certain level, they're submitted for good.
It's nice to know that after serving your country faithfully, you're given the chance to retire. But, according to Army Transition Center Manager and In-Service Career Counselor Ted Warden, when a retirement request reaches Department of the Army level, it's permanent and virtually impossible to change, regardless of last-minute promotions that may add years to an enlisted career.
In almost every case, once this action has been submitted, the Department of Army looks on that action as an executable action and something that the soldier wanted to do, regardless of changes in the situation following on a promotion board.
Conversely, says Ted, if a promotion request is still pending at the grassroots level, that request can be pulled.
If the action has not yet reached the DA level, for instance, it's gone from here in Vicenza to 510th PSD up to 1st PERSCOM and through those channels. At that level, it can be pulled back because the action has not yet reached the point at which it will be approved. The final approval authority being the Department of the Army.
These days, any decision concerning retirement or separation is an important one. So, Ted reminds soldiers, airmen, and sailors to take a close look at your benefits and options and make an intelligent choice. In Vicenza, I'm Air Force Sergeant Gary Piccirillo, AFN News.
Still to come on AFN Vicenza's Evening News, our year in review continues, this time with a look at October. Stay with us.
Sergeant Gary Piccirillo, AFN Sports. Big night in intramural basketball. The Post Gymnasium has 6 teams paired up on the hardwood for Wednesday night bragging rights. First up, Medak checked for a pulse against Denfac and found none. Medak on top by 25. Boom. Next up, it was a stormy night for Verona as they fell to the Rain Men 52-26. And finally, 22nd ASG notched a 21-point deficit against FSC CSB. Bada bing! That's it for now. Until next time, I'm Air Force Sergeant Gary Piccirillo, AFN Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the Veneto region and Vicenza, expect cloudy skies tonight with rain with the low dipping down to the low 30s. Tomorrow, expect more of the wet stuff with cloudy skies and rain with a high in the upper 40s. A lot happened during 1996, and the month of October was no exception. AFN's Larry Kreiner brings us back as our year in review continues.
Tuesday, October 1st, a Vicenza military pay official explained the proportional meal per diem rate that took effect. A local Italian newspaper article said the main road from the post to Villaggio would be under construction. A nationwide train and bus strike was announced. Soldiers on deployment at Grafenweer said hello to loved ones. Stamp collecting month started at the post office. 100 community Girl Scouts had a campfire jamboree at the North 40 Annex. CTAF's combat engineers were setting up bunkers, pillboxes, and firing line perimeters at Graf. The 560th Military Police Customs opened a sub-office in Davis Hall to make out-processing easier. The Forward Support Company kept heavy equipment and vehicles running at Graf. On Friday, October 4th, CTAF Public Affairs announced that 13-month-old family member Tony Moss, son of Staff Sergeant Rodney and Nicole Moss, was pronounced dead on arrival at the Vicenza City Hospital. Also, retired Army Staff Sergeant Thomas DeFalco died of a heart attack. After nearly 4 weeks at Graf, some CTAF soldiers prepared to travel to Hohenfels. Monday, October 7th, Public Affairs said CTAF Commander Major General Ed Smith had selected Command Sergeant Major Vincent Myers of Fort Bragg as CTAF's new senior enlisted chief. Vicenza High was one of only 2 schools military-wide to start the Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps program. CTAF soldiers spent time at the Combat Maneuver Training Center known as The Box. A family of Canadian puppeteers put on a show at the chapel. The children's singing group Vicenza Performs sang a Welcome to Vicenza song for the CTAF commander's wife, Ms. Janet Smith. CTAF Chief of Staff Colonel Dennis Ty spoke by phone from Grafenweer and said a joint task force certification called Mountain Lion 1 would cause CTAF headquarters to stay on deployment 2 to 3 weeks longer than expected and come back about 23 October. The Equal Employment and Equal Opportunity offices sponsored a trip to a Mexican castle near Trieste. Food services gave hot meals to the soldiers on deployment. The Army Times said commissary cigarette prices would go up November 1st. In celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, the DoD band Hot Molina played on post. On Tuesday, October 15th, an earthquake that registered at 4.5 on the Richter scale was felt in many parts of northern Italy. The 5th Allied Tactical Air Force at Damalin Airport had a change of command as Italian Air Force Lieutenant General Andrea Forzanero relinquished command to Lieutenant General Arnaldo Vanocchi. A Venice airport strike held up delivery of the Stars and Stripes newspaper. High school homecoming featured powder puff football. U.S. Navy personnel at Damalin Airport celebrated the Navy's 221st birthday. Soldiers from the 1st of the 508th arrived at Caserma Ederle after a month and a half at Graf and Hohenfels. Officials concluded that the La Fenice Opera House fire was started by arsonists. 23 key staff members from the 22nd ASG, including their commander, Colonel Scott Conrad, deployed to Mountain Lion 1 in Germany. Heavy rain brought local water levels way up. Soldiers Theater took the play When Shakespeare's Ladies Meet to the USERA One-Act Play Festival in Heidelberg. At mid-month, a Hispanic Heritage Luncheon was held at the Golden Lion. A Heritage Dinner was held in Verona. A new shuttle bus service started between Caserma Ederle, the Torrey Warehouse, and Larino. Thursday, October 24th, the CTAF commanders started an orientation of Caserma Ederle. 22nd ASG Commander Colonel Scott Conrad said the Mountain Lion 1 deployment went very well. Late in the month, Po Valley fog caused another Italian autostrada traffic pileup. Opening ceremonies for Red Ribbon Week took place. Soldiers Theater was set to open A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. Around the last week in October, CTAF hosted Retiree Activity Day. Flu shots started. Vicenza's band Backwhip Blues won several awards at the USERA Battle of the Bands competition. The USERA Professional Advisory Board met at Riva del Garda, and a team from the Headquarters Department of the Army Per Diem Committee came here to hold an information forum. Those were the events we covered last October. Tomorrow night, we'll wrap up the year in review with a look at November and December '96. I'm Larry Kreider, AFN News.
And that's the news for this night. The European weather forecast is up next. I'm Army Sergeant Jerry Malik. Good night.
Now, local news from AFN Vicenza.
Good evening. Local authorities are warning motorists to be on the lookout for stone-throwing incidents from highway overpasses. An incident was reported in Alte di Matecchio a week ago where a car was hit by a rock while traveling on the autostrada heading towards Milano. Only one car was damaged, and police have increased patrols in the Vicenza province. However, a woman was killed December 27th in Italy's northwest Piedmont region when a large rock landed on the car she and her newlywed husband were traveling in. Police say copycat incidents have caused several accidents since then. Authorities are encouraging motorists to telephone the 113 Emergency Action Service in Italy and report known incidents of rock throwing or related suspicious activity. Still to come on AFN Vicenza's Evening News, we finish up our year in review with a look back at both November and December. Stay with us. Taking a look at the weather forecast for the Veneto region and Vicenza. Tonight, look for cloudy skies with rain with a low down into the mid-30s. Your weekend forecast looks like mostly cloudy skies with haze, with highs reaching the upper 40s. Over the last 2 weeks, we've recapped the events that occurred within CTAF in 1996. Tonight, we finish up our year in review with a look back at both November and December. AFN's Larry Crider reports.
Friday, November 1st, we looked back at Halloween Trick-or-Treat in Villaggio. Youth Services held a Halloween festival. The first full week in November was election time, so the high school held their own Republican and Democratic debate. They also did an opinion poll of the issues. A World War I veterans ceremony involving both Americans and Italians took place near Vicenza. The high school government class held their own version of the general election. The grand opening of Skeeter's Barbecue Restaurant took place at Club Veneto. The health clinic welcomed a new chief of pharmacy. Marriage Enrichment Month luncheons started. Vehicle registration announced that triticos would be done away with. The Provost Marshal's office said alcohol-related incidents had increased. CTAF's new Command Sergeant Major Vincent Myers spoke about what he hopes to accomplish. Vicenza's VFW Chapter 8862 offered Buddy Poppies during Veterans Day. Wednesday, November 13th, we found out that CTAF Commander Major General Ed Smith would lead a team to assess the humanitarian situation in Central Africa. The health clinic had a change of command as Acting Commander Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Piacentile relinquished command to Lieutenant Colonel David Gillingham. In sports, at the 1996 Junior USERA Soccer Championships held in Vicenza, Stuttgart beat Eiffel 5-1 for the championship. After the first of the 508th returned from Graf and Hohenfelds, they held a special awards ceremony on Hoekstra Field. Thursday, November 14th, we received a report on Major General Ed Smith's Humanitarian Assessment Team arrival at Kigali, Rwanda. Other CTAF soldiers were in Sardinia, participating in a joint live fire exercise with the French, Italian, and U.S. navies. A town hall meeting was held in Club Veneto. Road construction near the post office had to do with installation of an APHIS electronic marquee. Friday, November 15th, the Stars and Stripes said CTAF soldiers could be on the move to Zaire within a week. Meanwhile, local soldiers prepared for possible departure with necessary training. A CTAF retirement ceremony took place. The high school band and chorus held a concert. Venice flooded after heavy rains. Road construction started in Villaggio. The price of commissary cigarettes went up. The Provost Marshal said the perimeter road around the North 40 was closed to traffic weekdays from 6:30 until 7:30 a.m. for PT. Elementary students learned about Native American culture by making corn husk dolls. Thursday, November 20th, the MPs announced the hospital gate would close permanently because of manpower shortages. Italian newspapers announced a nationwide air traffic controller strike. The Vicenza Enlisted Spouses Club held a traditional turkey dinner in the school cafeteria. The Italian Defense General Staff visited DEH officials to discuss future projects in the works for CTAF. The MPs announced that current deployments would require less manpower, so the hospital gate would remain open. As part of Native American Heritage Month, a cultural hour was presented at Club Veneto. A World War II bomb was scheduled to be defused in downtown Vicenza. The APO announced they would open for holiday mailing on Saturdays. The annual fall cleanup took place. CTAF Chief of Staff Colonel Dennis Tye spoke about CTAF's Crisis Action Team that provided support to the Humanitarian Assessment and Survey Team in Africa. Some local soldiers painted a mural around the dining facility entrance. The month ended with third graders presenting a special Thanksgiving skit. Starting December, we looked back at the Thanksgiving meal prepared by the dining hall. The main gate was closed for replacement of electrical lines. After Thanksgiving, the dining hall closed for renovation and the food operation moved to Club Veneto. Vicenza's Burger King received a superior ranking from a semi-annual assessment. ACS started their Angel Tree program. The 1996 European Military and Veterinary Medical Symposium took place at a hotel in Vicenza. The health clinic stated the importance of enrolling in TRICARE Europe. BOSS held a two-day seminar at Soldiers Theater. A civilian awards ceremony was held at the Golden Lion. New furniture arrived for single soldier dormitories. Boy Scout Troop 295 sold Christmas trees. Soldiers Theater was set to open A Christmas Carol. A Meet the Buyers session with merchandise managers took place at the PX. The commissary shopping spree contest winners took off down the aisles. The Catholic and Protestant women of the chapel baked cookies for single soldiers. The holiday Santa Lucia market got underway in downtown Verona. Thursday, December 12th, Verona held their Christmas tree lighting festivities. The next evening, Vicenza held their Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Bravo Company, first of the 508, held a change of command as Captain Scott McCullough relinquished command to Captain Scott Hooper. Holiday greetings were sent with candygrams. Davis Hall renovations were about to start. The Association of the United States Army presented ACS with a $1,500 check to be used for the Holiday Share program. In sports, the Commander's Trophy was awarded at the Fitness Center. Joe Dugan's restaurant underwent floor renovations. The elementary school immersion class performed a Christmas play. Elementary students also did a Christmas song recital. Delta Battery held a toy drive. The elementary school put on another Christmas show for their parents. Finishing off December, some CTAF musicians who started with the local band Backwhip Blues came back to perform as part of the Army's USA Express Band. Those were the events we covered last November and December. That's our 1996 year in review. I'm Larry Kreider, AFN News.
And that wraps up one heck of a year, and who knows what 1997 will bring. And that's the news for this night. The European weather forecast is up next. I'm Army Sergeant Jerry Malik. Good night.
This.
My dad used to say, anything worth having.
Now, local news from AFN Vicenza. Good evening. Dental appointments, which are hard to get at Caserma Ederle if you are not active duty, will soon become plentiful. AFN specialist Carmen Doherty explains why the dental appointment book will soon open up.
The CTAF community is a rapid deployment force, and troops seem to deploy from Vicenza quite frequently. This is why the Vicenza Dental Clinic wants to remind everyone to call the clinic and use the next deployment to graft the deer to their advantage. The executive officer for the Dental Command, Mr. Dave Dinges, says now is the perfect time to make appointments for the upcoming months.
Several units from CTAF they're going to be deploying, and they're going to be gone from about the 10th of September till about the 25th of October, I believe. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a lot of space available. And rather than have our people just sitting around doing nothing, we encourage, especially family members, they have the first priority, and then retirees and Department of the Army civilians to please contact us, and we'll have plenty of appointments available for them.
According to Mr. Dinges, the dental clinic has the ability to see you for several different dental problems, but it's difficult to get appointments quickly.
When our first priority is to the active duty, so it is very difficult to get when they're in the house. We have they have priority over the other categories of patients. So when we have an opportunity like this, we need to take full advantage of it, especially people who are just getting into the command, and we have had big changeovers.
Taking advantage of the space available at the clinic is one of the ways to make the hardships of deployments work to benefit you. Specialist Carmen Doherty, AFN News.
Elsewhere on post, the 22nd Area Support Group has honored summer hire workers during a ceremony held in the Golden Lion.
Welcome to the 22nd Area Support Group Summer Hire Recognition Ceremony.
More than 40 students who worked on post this summer attended the lunchtime gathering. 22nd ASG Commander Colonel Scott Conrad praised their hard work and positive attitude that contributed to overall mission success.
We want to recognize the young members of our community who rolled up their sleeves, got down to the work of improving our community. Whether you were out there in the field or doing some other important task, it really made a difference.
Along with Colonel Conrad, 22nd ASG Command Sergeant Major Stephen Height and CTAF Command Sergeant Major Riley Miller honored the students with scrolls of appreciation and 22nd ASG coins. The top summer hire performers in the grounds maintenance team received special CTAF keychains. They included Jennifer Swanger, Sarah Cavanaugh, Scott Hutchins, Edgardo Ramirez Jr., and Sean Thomas. A 22nd Area Support Group statement said summer hire efforts allowed our community to continue many critical functions during times of reduced resources. Coming up, a funny thing happened at Soldiers Theater last night as AFN Vicenza's evening news continues. This month, we recognize Women's Equality Day.
My name is Carmen Parks. I'm the Private Organizations Coordinator.
Rhonda Brown, Administrative Assistant. Patricia Peacock, Budget Assistant.
Michelle Young, Operations Assistant.
Vanessa Yancey, Budget Clerk.
I'm Becky Hyde, I'm Accounting Tech, and we are the women behind the Financial Management Division.
And we're celebrating Women's Equality Day.
I'm Army Sergeant Cager Cox, AFN Sports. I got a few events for you that cross the boundaries into international sports that even you can participate in. My motto for weightlifting is usually, if you lift something up and it makes you go, ugh, just put it down. But if you want to compete in some world-class powerlifting, try the championships in England on the 31st. If running's more your style, check out the upcoming cross-country championships, also in England, on October 26th. But for the more laid-back individuals, hit the links for the International Golf Tournament in Ireland. For information on any of these upcoming events, call the sports office at 634-7009. That's it for tonight. I'm Army Sergeant Cager Cox, AFN Sports.
Turning to our midweek Vicenza weather forecast, tonight expect more thunderstorms with temperatures in the low 60s. Tomorrow, believe it or not, even more thunderstorms with daytime temperatures reaching the high 70s. In other news, a funny thing happened at Soldiers Theater last night. The word funny in this case describes a musical play which the local theater group started a casting call for. AFN's Army Sergeant Jerry Malik reports on the first night's tryouts.
Aspiring thespians took the stage at the Soldiers Theater to take a shot at landing a role in the musical comedy, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. The audition welcomed those who wanted to show off their best voice and moves to join in the play, which takes its viewers to Rome back in 200 BC. The production will feature a sizable amount of slapstick humor, combined with a number of familiar choruses. Play producer Barbara McGeorge says while tryouts normally take place over a couple of days, she encourages those who want to be a part of the show to volunteer their services at any time.
We always have this retention problem. I mean, you know, guys will go in the field, or they'll find out they have to go TDY to Hungary, or they find out they have to go TDY to Naples for 3 months or something like that. And the part that we cast, you know, we'll have to recast halfway through the audition period. So as I said, just about anybody could come to Soldiers Theater and volunteer, and we could put them in a slot, and I think they could feel that they learned something and, you know, it's been valuable.
Auditions for A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum take place again tonight at 7 in the Soldiers Theater. Performances are scheduled to kick off by the end of October. In Vicenza, Army Sergeant Jerry Malik, AFN News.
That's the AFN Vicenza Evening News. I'm Larry Kreider. Have a nice evening. Now, local news from AFN Vicenza.
Good evening. A year ago, Colonel Scott Conrad took over as the commander of Vicenza's 22nd Area Support Group. A lot has happened since then. And tonight we start a special series with Colonel Conrad as he looks back on his first year in office.
You know, the first 12 months has gone awfully fast. A lot has gone on in our community. A lot has gone on with CTEF. We've deployed the force. We've taken care of the quality of life of our community. One of the things that I'm proudest of is that when I took command last August, we really had the charter to not only refocus how we executed our deployment mission with the soldiers of CTEF, but also improve the quality of life support for the communities that we're responsible for. And in that regard, I think we've made a lot of progress. We've deployed the force 10 times over the last year. Some of the major deployments, including saving hundreds of lives in the NEO operation in Liberia, being the first on the site scene at the Secretary Brown crash, as well as several other very important missions. Most recently, of course, the peaceful Eagle support in Albania, setting up an intermediate staging base, was really the first time that an area support group had done that sort of operation. So in terms of the way that we've executed that deployment mission, and then as we've transitioned and made sure that the quality of life for soldiers and family members along the way has really been second to none, I'm real proud of the way that our soldiers and civilians in the 22nd Area Support Group have executed that mission. And then along the way that the soldiers of CTEF and their family members have been supported and how well they've supported us. So big thanks for them because they've made this the best organization in all of U.S. Army in Europe.
We'll continue our interview with the Colonel tomorrow night. In other news, under a draft proposal still in development at the Pentagon, nearly every enlisted person, including single people living in the barracks, would get the Basic Subsistence Allowance, better known as BAS. Under the current rules, most single enlisted people below the rank of E7 living in the barracks do not get BAS. AFN's Larry Kreider has more about this proposal that will affect over 400,000 enlisted service members in all branches of the military.
The BAS proposal is still being formulated, but should arrive at the Pentagon for final approval sometime this month. According to an article in the Army Times, the proposed changes include, but are not limited to, the following. Every enlisted person except those in basic training would receive BAS. New recipients would receive a partial allowance. That would be raised each year until it matched the full allowance rate. The earliest the expanded version of BAS could be offered is fiscal year 1998, which begins October 1st, 1997. The proposed changes to the BAS program raise concerns about the continued use of government dining facilities. A definitive strategy needs to be clarified before any BAS proposal can be approved. In Vicenza, I'm Larry Kreider, AFN News.
Still to come on AFN Vicenza's Evening News, a look at the history of the Expert Infantryman's Badge. Stay with us.
Army Sergeant Cager Cox, AFN Sports. A whopping 32 softball games were played out over the weekend, all part of the 1996 Labor Day Invitational Softball Tournament. 12 men's teams from all over Europe competed, and on the final day of competition in the semifinals, it came down to Vicenza's pile drivers and hooligans. A lot of people thought this was going to be a tough one. In fact, it wasn't even a contest. Pile drivers on top, 12-0.
Boom!
Oh yeah, and in the finals, the pile drivers proceeded to challenge Team Worth from Naples. These teams have played before, and each squad has felt the sting of the other. But no one, and I mean no one, right, Gare?
Right!
Expected Naples to dominate the way they did over 7 innings. Naples nailed home runs almost at will, while Vicenza could do little more than watch. In the end, it was Team Worth 10, pile drivers 2.
Ouch!
Good effort from all teams, and like one guy said, just wait until next year.
Just wait until next year.
And that'll do it for tonight, and we'll have women's highlights tomorrow. Until then, I'm Army Sergeant Cager Cox, AFN Sports.
And taking a look at the weather forecast for the Vicenza community. Tonight, look for mostly cloudy skies with lows dipping into the low 60s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies continue with highs reaching the mid-70s. You know, throughout history, the military has established ways to award troops for being the best in their field. Army Sergeant Carmen Dougherty reports on the history of the combat infantry and expert infantry badges.
Training. Training. And more training.
Yes.
It's an aspect of the military that's a must to perform basic skills correctly. For the infantry, it's a necessity to stay proficient at specific infantry skills. During the annual week-long testing of the Expert Infantry Badge, soldiers perform the task of the infantryman to standard to become a member of an illustrious group. EIB Site Manager Staff Sergeant Eric Badgett tells us how the Combat Infantry Badge differs from the Expert Infantry Badge.
I know the CIB goes all the way back to World War I. People from World War I received it, people from World War II received it. Grenada, Panama, Saudi, Dominican Republic, Vietnam. And this EIB, when we started having the lull in combat, which is good, the infantryman still needed to establish himself in some way. So it's one of the oldest type medals or type awards that you can get in the infantry. It used to say in the old days, it's the mark of a man. Okay, being politically correct now, we don't say that anymore. But it's pretty much the last thing that the infantry soldier and just the infantry soldier can have.
One of the EIB participants from Echo Company, 1st of the 508th, Specialist Matthew Cervantes tells us why all infantrymen should try for their EIB.
Well, all infantrymen want their EIB because you're not looked at as an expert until you hold one. So it's said to be a mark of a man. You gotta want it. It's a personal thing. It's not just a badge you wear. It's something you wear on the outside from the inside.
Those who completed all of the tasks to standard will be holders of an illustrious badge, marking them as the cream of the crop of the infantry. Army Sergeant Carmen Dougherty, AFN News.
Quite an honor. And that's AFN Vicenza's evening news for this night. Thanks for watching. I'm Air Force Sergeant Gary Piccirillo. We'll rejoin network news from Frankfurt, Germany for the regional weather forecast after this break.